Now I see here that I've forgotten to add kind of a connecting piece on the top of this. So I think I can just take this piece here. Let's change to local transformation with the period key, and I'll just go to the side view and wireframe, and let's press Shift D Z and just move this up. And we'll just put this right up in here. I'll scale it in the Z with S and Z. Maybe tilt it a bit. Let's see if we can kind of get that in here and have it look okay. Yeah, and all I wanted is just something to connect that up. And then we've also got this area down below here. So down below this brace in the front fork, we've got something down here. We've got like another cylinder type thing and then a plate coming out the back. And you can, I think, see that right here. I think that's that plate there. So let's just take this then, and let's duplicate this, Shift D, Z, and let's move it down here. And then from this piece, that plate can maybe come out of. Let's try that. So I should probably close this off again. Let's do that. I'll Alt-click this edge here and press E, S, scale in a bit, and then M and at center there. Okay. And then if we just take this here, Shift S2 to move the cursor to that origin, Shift A, mesh plane, and now we've got a plane that we can work with in here. So I think if I just take this plane and kind of align it to this part of the reference image like this maybe, and then let's scale it in the X. There we go. And let's just select this edge. And then let's just hit E and Y and pull out here. Hit the G key and bring this up. You can see there's kind of a turn there like that. Let's actually bring that up like that. And then once we do that, let's bring this straight down in the global axis like this and get it right between those two things. Maybe we should do that. It looks like there's a bend or something to it. I'm not quite sure, but we can at the very least just take an edge or put an edge in the center here and maybe kind of just bend it a bit like this. Hard to know. I'll smooth it. Let's add a solidify. I'll apply the scale with Control A and choose even thickness, and then let's just bring that down like this. Let me turn on auto smooth down here. There we go. Yeah, that could work. Maybe I should take this edge right here and let's press Control B and bevel this out to kind of smooth it a bit. And then we should probably work on this piece right here, that cylinder. Let's do that. Let's add that piece in here now. I'll press Shift Z to go to wireframe, and here is that cylinder that we want to add right here. So I'll press Shift A, mesh cylinder, and let's take this cylinder down to, say 16 sides. Let's choose nothing for the cap fill, and I can bring this down to say 0.1 and 0.2 just to make it a little bit smaller. And let's come over here and begin scaling this down. Scaling the Z a bit. I'll turn it. All right, I'll switch to local transformation mode. Scale in the Z, and let's bring this out like this. All right, so we've got that. Now let's bring it out into place. Let's go to the 1 key and wireframe and see if we can see where this should go. I'll bring it out to about, I feel like it's right in here. I'll smooth it. And then we need to work on this right here. You can see how it goes and bends in across where the coils are. So let's think about that. I'm going to tab into edit mode and press Control R. And let's add an edge loop right in here. Let's see where that is. Looks like the bottom is right here. Let's try this. So what I will do is just use these faces here. I'll Alt-click between two of them, select that whole face loop, and let's duplicate it. Press Shift-D and Enter. And then we can use our Shrink Fatten tool over here. I'll press Alt-S, and let's move the mouse a bit to kind of puff this out. Something like this. There we go. And then let's split it off with the P key and separate by selection. And then I'll just select that one piece. I'll press the 2 key to go to edge mode and then Alt-click this edge here on the top. And now we want to begin extruding back into here. And I feel like it's fairly tall and thin compared to this cylinder. So what let's do is let's hit E and Z and bring this up. And then let's scale in the Y with S and Y like this. Let's maybe scale it in the X just a bit and then move it back some like this. There we go. And then I want to keep going this way. I'll press EZ and bring that up. And I think I want to turn it now toward the center. So let's try that. Let's press EZ, RY, and then move it in the X. So EZ, RY, move it in the X. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just kind of giving that curve. And this is the kind of thing we can do by hand rather than setting up the spin tool. This can sometimes be just a little quicker if you want to do it this way. And let's try that again. I'm going to press EX and then RY. Kind of turn that like that. I'll bring it up a bit like this. So there we go. Now we've got that basic shape. We can begin to just bring it into the center now. EX. And I'll also press SX0 to flatten it. And now we could add a mirror modifier to this. So we could come over to the modifiers panel, add mirror, and there it is there, mainly because the center of that object, the pivot point, is here. So we should really move that down to the 3D cursor. So let's come up here to Object, Set Origin, and Origin to 3D Cursor there. There we go. Now we've got them on both sides. All right, and then we could take these, this edge here, we could turn on clipping, we could turn on the cage for the other side, and we could just drag that straight into the center and they'll clip there. All right, let's also close this up here. Alt-click this edge and hit E and S and close that up. There we go. And then we kind of need to figure out some connecting pieces in here. We could actually take this whole thing right here. Let's Alt-click these faces here. And we could take that whole thing and use it to kind of cover this up. So let's think about this. Maybe if we did, maybe if we took these faces here, I'm just going to select all of these right up to the top there, kind of that half. Right? And I'm going to extrude these forward in the Y. EY. And bring them forward like that. Let's see what happens here. Right? It just kind of hides it. That's not too bad, actually. So, yeah, this kind of works, I think. Let me just hit the A key, and I'm just going to bring this up a smidge like this. Yeah, that kind of works to close all that off. It's a little ugly in terms of smoothing. Let's come down here and turn on auto smooth. But if we drag it all the way up to 180 or even 160, let's say, that's not too bad. We could add an edge loop in here to clean up this in here. Just Control R and move this back like that. That can help clean that up in there. Now, one other thing I've seen in here is this piece right here. There's a bolt that comes out and goes through that from here. Let's maybe take this point right here and bring the cursor to it with Shift S2. And then I'll create a cylinder and it'll pop in at that point. Let's then scale this way down. And then let's turn it. like this. I hit the R key and turn it. And then let's scale out in the Z and pull this out like this. And then let's bring this in, kind of like this. So it's coming through this piece here. Let's try this. Maybe like this. Let's smooth it. All right. And then let's add a bolt here on the end. So maybe we could grab a bolt from here. Let's do this again. Let's just grab this and this. Shift D, Enter, Control J to join them together. And then let's bring this over. Hit the G key and move this. And let's hit the R key and turn it. And let's just put this right here. Maybe scale it up a bit. And I still need to kind of slide it over. So let's do that. Slide it over here. And put it in place right here. So what do we think? Yeah, I mean, that kind of gives us the sense that we're going through that. All right, I think we've got enough of the connecting pieces in here. In the next video, I think let's move on to other parts of the motorcycle.